Welcome in, Slumpbusters. This is your host, Juju and Kyle, here to bring you another top-tier guest. But before we get into it, big favor, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Joining us, a host of A2D Radio, a network dedicated to all things Philly sports. We're joined by Steve Rychel. Steve, are you going through it after these last couple games with Toronto, knowing Doc's resume? How are you feeling, man?
I mean, this is the normal punishment for any Philadelphia fan. This has been this franchise's MO. Unfortunately, like you go up 3-0. It's one of the things that me and my guys were talking about leading into the playoffs. We were more concerned with Doc than we were, the roster or chemistry or anything with James Harden or anything like that. I'm more worried about Doc because it's his MO. And if you even look, you go back to the previous coach, Brett Brown did a lot of things to help the Sixers get to where they're at now. But, unfortunately, he had the same MO, could not get anything done come playoff time. Love him, hate him, or indifferent about him. I mean, that's how it is. And Doc Rivers now is becoming legitimately famous for this now. I mean, it is his resume is having good teams and falling apart in the playoffs. I mean, if I'm wrong, someone please come in and tell me.
Like you mentioned, Doc's MO, these last two games don't inspire a lot of confidence. But when you look at them, would you say that it's more good Raptors or bad 76ers?
It's bad Sixers, but also like you look at this team and it leads on Joe, and Joe's a little banged up right now. So, and it's one of the things that we preach about. We all know Joe was on another level this year, and that he needed to bring in the playoffs. Now he's got the torn ligament in his hand, so he's going to have to kind of watch things of that nature. And here we go. We didn't, we're not even out of the first round, and Joe's dealing with an injury, and the rest of the team has to stand up for whatever reason. Doc Rivers decides to put Matisse Thybulle in I think it was game 5 for damn near 30 minutes because he missed that road trip. I cannot fathom what's going through this guy's head. I wouldn't say it's full panic mode here in Philadelphia. We got another game before you. If it goes to 7, it's absolutely full panic mode. And I think regardless of how it ends, whatever, I think Doc Rivers should find employment elsewhere.
Steve, the biggest story more than the Raptors series or the Miami Heat is Joel Embiid's torn ligament in his thumb. Obviously, last year in the playoffs, he was dealing with the meniscus injury, and that kind of followed them through the Hawks series. So how concerned are you about Joel? What are the thoughts around Philadelphia about his injury?
I think it's 50-50. People are still up in the air about it. We haven't really seen what it's going to be. I mean, obviously, we're starting to see the wheels come off a little bit here. Didn't expect it to go 6. I mean, I felt that the Raptors would win a game or two, but not in the manner that it looked like it when you go up 3-0 and then you come back and lose 2 straight, like in the manner that you do, and just look completely disinterested, unorganized basketball. And that falls back on the coach. But getting back to the injury, I think Joe will be fine. Obviously, I don't think he's going to be going off for 47 points and things of that nature. But one of the things that I've also been saying about the playoffs in general, you don't need James Harden to be near Hall of Fame player that he was at the beginning of his career when he was in OKC, things of that nature. You just need to be him to be an above level all-star. You already have Tyrese Maxsey there. If Tobias Harris at least shows up majority the rest of the way, you have a decent enough team to get you at least to the conference finals, if not the NBA finals, in my opinion. We have to see how it plays out. Obviously, it ain't looking good, but it wasn't looking good a few weeks ago when we were getting towards the end of the season. Everyone's sitting there saying the world is burning. This team is hot and cold at times, but they should be capable of dispatching of the Toronto Raptors.
Well, you said that James doesn't even play like that Hall of Famer that he will eventually be. But in his last press conference, Joel Embiid called for James Harden to be more aggressive. And we love that Joel's so honest in his assessments of his teammates, but sometimes that can backfire. We saw that with Ben Simmons last year. Do you think that
I don't want to hear that boy's name?
Do you think that James will step up or shrink following Embiid's call to action?
Listen, I think James Harden will step up. I mean, like I said, he doesn't have to be the guy here. He doesn't even have to be the second guy here. He just has to be that above level. And Joe calling him out, absolutely expected. He's the face of this team. He's been the face of this franchise, and he is the undoubted leader of it. And you're sitting there saying it backfired. No, Ben Simmons is a giant, soft little crybaby. He's been sitting there stealing money from not only the Sixers and the NBA, and the fact of the matter that he's holding under the guise of mental illness. When you have guys in this city like Lane Johnson and you know his brother Brooks, who just retired this past season, who's been guys who've been in this community and outward advocate for mental health awareness. It is absolutely sickening what Ben Simmons has done to the Sixers, to the NBA, everybody. It is an absolute farce, and I cannot wait for him to finally have to face the music at some point in time. If I was the NBA, I would have demanded a separate doctor, you know, from the league give an assessment and see what is what to see if that guy's going to get paid for the season. I don't believe he should. Getting back to it, I'm glad that things have played out the way they are. You know, he's one of those guys he's not meant for Philly. James Harden, we don't know. He might be a guy that's meant for Philly. I'm sure he loves the nightlife here and things of that nature. We're going to see what happens in this playoff series. Joe's the leader. It's going to live and die or Joe. He's going to have to overcome deficiencies in himself right now and potentially Doc Rivers.
Well, now that we're 3 months into the James Harden experiment, how do you feel about how things have played out thus far, given what they had to give up to get him and the production they've kind of seen between him and Embiid?
I mean, I'm fine with not only the trade, you know, how he's fit in here. Like I said, I think with the ascension of Mad Max Tyrese Maxsey this season, you know, arguably should have been one of the most improved players in the NBA. Another postseason award that the Sixers were robbed of this season. Maxsey, despite crybaby soft boy, you know, sitting on the sidelines with his hurt feelings, Max ascended this year. You know, I'm not sitting there saying he's going to be a perennial all-star, but or anything like that, or a superstar. But he ascended this year, and the fact that the way that team works out, like I said, you still have Tobias Harris there too. He needs to be held accountable for and step up and do things of that nature. We're gonna see, man. It's getting down to it. We're gonna see what this team's made of, and if that trade ultimately backfires, I don't feel like the Sixers gave up too much, and I feel at this point in time the Nets are gonna have seller's remorse soon.
Well, you mentioned him a couple times, so let's talk about Doc Rivers. Doc's name came up in the Lakers coaching search after Frank Vogel was dismissed. So at this point, do you think it's championship or bust this season?
I mean, in Philadelphia, obviously, the way they're playing, I don't know if you're even gonna get past the Bucks. Is kind of the real problem that you're looking at right now. But it's something that, like I said, we're gonna live and die on Joe. Yes, I think. In Philadelphia, yeah, it might be the only way that Doc saves the job is a championship. A lot of people are calling for his name. A lot of people are sitting there saying that the surprise retirement of Jay Wright could be an ultimate sign that he is going to be taking that Sixers job if it you know wasn't planned or you know I retired all of a sudden you know the wheels completely fall off here in Philadelphia. Doc gets fired, goes back out to LA. You have a guy like Harden there, or on your own staff. Can Sam Cassell coach this team? Is that even possible? Who knows? Like I said, a lot of questions swirling around this team. This is going to be an interesting, not only NBA playoff and finals, but off season. It's a fun time to be a sports fan, regardless of NBA and NFL. You know, obviously drafts coming around the corner has been one of the craziest off season. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So how do you feel about the play of Tyrese Maxsey? Because you mentioned him when you were talking about Harden and company. He had an awesome game 1, awesome game 2. He's kind of faded to the background in the 3 games since. So still kind of being the third scorer. Him and Tobias have taken a bunch of shots, kind of trading off. So how do you feel about Maxey's development?
Like I said, I'm gonna stay on that. I think he's on an ascending star status, potential all-star. We'll see what happens. I like his game. We're only in year 2 with him. He's on a good trend moving upward compared to where you've seen the Sixers have make picks and you know things don't quite work out at a Markelle Fultz, who's absolutely destroying it down there in Orlando. I think now you have your final pieces of what is going to be the processes in Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxsey. We'll see what happens with Tobias Harris this offseason, but I think Maxey and Harden and Embiid are going to be like your three guys that you're going to see moving forward, at least over the next 3 years.
Looking ahead, assuming that Toronto doesn't make NBA history, the next matchup is the Miami Heat. How does Philly match up against Miami?
I mean, I think it's a fun matchup. I mean, you know, Miami's obviously giving us troubles over there. You still have Jimmy Butler, who you know, is always a guy who plays up in the playoffs. And, you know, at least since he left here has been kind of a thorn in our side. So it's going to be a fun matchup. If it winds up being the Sixers in Miami, you know, I'll go back and sitting there saying it should be the Sixers in 6. You still have to watch the injury with Embiid. It's going to live and die off of Joel. As much as you need production from those other guys, he's going to be the tone setter. You know, he's been getting a lot of praise over this season. We've been hearing, you know, figureheads calling him the 7-foot Kobe Bryant after that big shot down there in Toronto. But like, this is one of those things, man. It's going to be interesting. I like them over Miami. Like I said, the way they're playing right now, though, you don't know. And I still think it'll be a rough one, but it should be 6. Sixers in 6.
All right. How do you feel about how the rest of the Eastern Conference is shaking out to this point? Because Boston's got the sweep done. We assume Milwaukee's going to whoop ass and advance in Game 5 tonight. How are you feeling?
That should be a really fun series, especially the way Boston's playing. But again, I'll stay with the way Giannis is playing and the way the Bucks are the defending champions. I think they'll make work of Boston. That should be a fun series. It should go 6-7 games in the Bucks' favor, especially with the way Boston's playing. But anything can happen. It is the NBA playoffs, but I'm gonna stick with the champions getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, and it should hopefully be Sixers Bucks. Hopefully.
All right, Steve, go ahead and give us the obligatory plugs.
Yeah, man. You know, anyone who wants to, you know, show us some love, please make sure you head over to our A2D YouTube channel. We're approaching 8K subscriptions there. You know, just past 2 million views this past weekend. So appreciate the already current love that we got. Make sure you're checking us out on you know, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You know, pretty much wherever you can find us. I'm there on you know, at Steve's Sports Talk 1. You know, I'm on every Saturday night on A2D Radio on the weekly roundup, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. My man Zach Bird, Daniel Bakley, getting in the thing. Typically have at least one interview on, you know, somewhere in sports, regardless if it's you know, NFL veteran, NBA veteran, or you know we all have some fighters on from time to time. But always having fun over here on A2D. We give you pretty much just about anything you can ask for, from soccer to hockey, from it all. And also appreciate the time here this afternoon with you guys.
Hey, man, thanks for joining us. If you find yourself needing a hot Philly sports take, make sure to check out Steve and his many co-hosts on A2D Radio. From Juju Talk Sports and Ledbetter. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. We will see you next time.